All right, here we go. I wouldn't pretend to tell you I understand a single word Karl Marx ever wrote. But I do know end-stage capitalism is a lot like pornography. You know it when you see it. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, the head of Microsoft, Mark Zuckerberg, all up there on the inaugural dais. That was either end-stage capitalism or end-stage pornography, or both. Well, Trump, the so-called merchant of chaos, was very methodical yesterday. There was no chaos. For 4 years, he's told us what he's planning to do, and yesterday, he pretty much did it. Well, 18,000 Costco workers, unionized, authorized a strike against the warehouse retail chain with their contract set to expire at the end of January. Costco union workers are represented by the Teamsters, whose leader, Sean O'Brien, said Costco's profits have more than doubled since 2018, so workers' salaries and benefits should reflect that. The fight continues. The fight continues. No matter who's running things in Washington or Silicon Valley, we fight every day. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders told his supporters the day before the inauguration, despair is not an option. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took to social media and said, "Let me be clear. I'm not going to attend the inauguration because, quote, I don't celebrate rapists," unquote. Donald Trump on Monday was sworn in as our 47th president. Immediately after, he kissed his wife Melania's right cheek because on the lips would have cost double. Then, as is tradition, lunch was served in Statuary Hall. Yes, that Statuary Hall from January 6, which is why Capitol Police had to go from table to table, reminding MAGA Republicans not to shit where you eat. Donald Trump's first vice president, Mike Pence, showed up for the ceremony. Humility got the best of Pence, so he wore a noose around his neck, hoping Trump would remember who he was. Later that day, Donald Trump signed an executive order pardoning 1,500 January 6ers. Trump commuted Stewart Rhodes's 18-year sentence for seditious conspiracy. It's been commuted to time served. From what I understand, he's going to be released. Rhodes founded the Oath Keepers, who, along with Rhodes, brought along a cache of AR-15s, ammunitions, and a motel room filled with weapons. They brought that to Washington on January 6 after someone told Stewart Rhodes Trump would declare martial law before the certification and then deputize the Oath Keepers. Someone in the White House, the Trump White House, may have told him that. The New York Times reporting this morning that Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio will be out of prison shortly after Trump pardoned him as well. He's pardoned the Oath Keepers and now the Proud Boys. Tarrio was sentenced to 22 years for seditious conspiracy for the role he played on January 6. Both Enrique Tarrio's mother and his lawyer confirming that Tarrio, who is serving time in a Louisiana prison, has been given forms to fill out, and he will be released soon. All this on the very same day outgoing President Joe Biden pardoned former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who Trump has repeatedly threatened to prosecute because of her role sitting on the January 6 committee. Biden also pardoned January 6 committee chair Benny Thompson, Democrat from Mississippi. In fact, Biden yesterday pardoned the entire January 6 committee. Congressman Jamie Raskin, who sat on the January 6th committee, said of the pardons, quote, "It is strange to receive a pardon simply for doing your job and upholding your constitutional oath of office. But the incoming administration has been consistently leveling threats," unquote. And as promised, Trump signed an executive order yesterday legalizing spousal abuse. Wait, I don't know how that got into the show. He didn't sign an executive order legalizing spousal abuse. But that would make it much easier for his White House employees to get security clearance if spousal abuse were legal. Last night, Donald Trump signed an executive order withdrawing from the World Health Organization. Worst response to the COVID epidemic in the industrialized world. More Americans died per capita and in total than any other industrialized country. So who needs the World Health Organization? Good on you, Donald Trump. This after President Biden pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, who served as Trump's director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Trump supporters accused Fauci of using American tax dollars to fund the Wuhan lab, where many mistakenly believe the COVID virus originated. He's also been accused of funding what is called gain-of-function research, which alters animals' viruses to make them easier for humans to catch. Dr. Fauci has also been accused of suppressing non-scientific information regarding bogus cures for COVID. Because of all that, Fauci has required round-the-clock security because of death threats, security he needs for himself and his family. Meanwhile, the war on science marches on. The Washington Post reporting this morning that at least 6 cities in Florida have removed fluoride from their drinking water since November. On his way out the door, President Biden pardoned General Mark Milley, who served as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff during the lead-up to January 6. General Milley told Bob Woodward that he had no doubt Donald Trump is a full-blown fascist. General Milley also told Bob Woodward that in January 6's immediate aftermath, he got on the phone with his Chinese counterpart to assure China that despite Trump's erratic behavior, he will not be launching any wars against them. Trump later referred to Milley's call to the Chinese leader as quote-unquote treason. CNN reporting that right after Trump was sworn in, General Mark Milley's official portrait was removed from the Pentagon. Biden, on his way out, also pardoned 5 family members, in addition to the one he gave his son Hunter on December 2nd of last year. Yesterday, President Biden pardoned James Biden, his brother, Sarah Jones Biden, his brother's wife, and his sister Valerie, her husband, as well as Francis Biden, Biden's other brother. In a flurry of executive orders last night, Donald Trump reversed Biden's order limiting chokeholds and no-knock warrants for federal police officers. Trump reversed Biden's order phasing out the federal government relying on private for-profit prisons. This was something Obama signed, then Trump came in, revoked it, Biden signed it again, and now Biden revoked it, and the federal government once again is relying on private for-profit prisons. CoreCivic and GEO Group are America's 2 largest private prison companies. Their stocks rose nearly 40% right after Trump won in November. They gave a lot of money to Trump. In fact, GEO Group was the very first corporation to donate to Donald Trump in 2024. Last night, as promised, Trump pulled the United States out of the Paris Climate Accords. Again, Obama signed the accords. Trump pulled us out, Biden put us back in, and now Trump pulled us back out again. Iran, Libya, and Yemen are the only other nations who are not signatories to the Paris Climate Accords. We're in good company. Even Darren Woods, the CEO of Exxon, has urged Trump not to pull out of the Paris Climate Accords. Woods, the CEO of Exxon, said climate change is real, and without the United States participating in the Paris Climate Accords, it will be impossible to establish global standards for greenhouse gas emissions. After Trump was sworn in, the price of oil dropped to $77 a barrel. That's another reason Exxon doesn't want us to leave the Paris Accords. Less drilling for oil means higher profits for the oil companies. The oil companies want to keep most of it in the ground because less drilling limits the supply of oil, which allows them to charge more. Drilling is expensive. It is more profitable to have less oil and charge more for it. But Trump calls climate change a hoax. And thanks to the hoax, his inauguration had to be moved indoors due to record cold. 250 million Americans this morning are gripped by near freezing temperatures. That's climate catastrophe. Wild swings in the weather. Trump said he will visit fire-ravaged Los Angeles on Friday. 27 people are reported dead, 75 missing since the LA fires first broke out 2 weeks ago today. Trump said he would sign an order changing Denali's name back to Mount McKinley. More than 20,000 feet high, Denali is the tallest mountain in the United States and was changed to Denali from Mount McKinley by President Obama in 2015 to honor America's first peoples. On his way out, President Biden commuted the sentence of 80-year-old Native American activist Leonard Peltier, who was found guilty of killing 2 FBI agents in 1975 on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. For decades, organizations like Amnesty International called his trial flawed, with prosecutors presenting faulty ballistics tests as well as getting questionable testimony from questionable eyewitnesses. Leonard Peltier, his sentence has been commuted. He goes home at the age of 80, but not to be outdone by Joe Biden when it comes to respecting Native Americans. The night before his inauguration, Donald Trump danced with the Indian chief from the Village People. Yes, Sunday night, the Village People performed YMCA at Donald Trump's Make America Great Again victory rally inside Washington, D.C.'s Capital One Arena. And because old habits die hard, Trump saw to it that afterwards, the construction worker from the Village People never got paid. That's how he rolls. He sees a construction worker, do not pay him. This is the mop-up for January 21st, 2025. I'm David Feldman in New York City. Thank you so much for finding me. Please like this episode so I remain in your feed. Share it, hit the notifications buttons, all that kind of stuff. It's, as I've been telling you, it's going to be a little harder for you to find me. This is also an audio podcast, so download this wherever you get your audio and subscribe to my newsletter, and I'm on Blue Sky. It's going to be harder to find me for a while, so please stick with me. Don't leave me. During his inaugural speech yesterday, Trump said the Gulf of Mexico will be renamed the Gulf of America, and that promise drew an audible laugh from Hillary Clinton, who was seated in the audience. Good for her. So he's renamed Denali to Mount McKinley. The Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of America. And now, apparently, TikTok has been renamed. Can you see this chyron on Fox News Sunday? I won't read it. I'll spell it. But this is how, according to Fox News, I alter stuff. This is not altered. You can Google this. This is how Fox News is spelling TikTok. And because it's Fox News, I have to assume this is how it's pronounced. I'll spell it Titkok. I won't say the word. Titkok. That's the word. All right. That's true. I will alter, when I alter pictures, I let you know. That was not altered. Some of you might have noticed TikTok went completely dark on Sunday for a few hours in accordance with a bill signed into law last year banning the platform here in the United States unless it was severed from the Chinese government by January 19th, 2025. It was dark for parts of Sunday, so I wasn't able to stream any makeup tips for an hour. If I looked tired, I didn't get my makeup tips. But thankfully, Trump told TikTok, go live, go ahead, I'm going to help you. And they went live and went back on later on Sunday. Trump last night signed an executive order instructing the Department of Justice not to enforce the TikTok ban for 75 days, which he says will give him enough time to work out some sort of deal. So, I get things wrong, and I said 90 days. It's 75 days. This turned out pretty much the way I told you it was going to turn out, but I was 15 days off. Trump said no deal would be acceptable unless the United States got 50% joint ownership of TikTok. And by the United States, he means billionaire investor Jeff Yass, who donated millions to Trump's presidential campaign last year, and by doing that, convinced Trump that TikTok was not a national security risk. Before Jeff Yass donated all that money to Club for Growth, which in turn gave it over to Donald Trump, before that, Donald Trump said TikTok's a security risk. But now Donald Trump is saying, no, we can work it out. And he is saying, but America has to own 50% of TikTok. Well, it won't be America owning 50% of TikTok. It's Trump's billionaire supporters owning 50% of a company that is already headquartered in the Cayman Islands. It's not a Chinese company. It's not a Singaporean company. It's a company that's registered in the Cayman Islands. And I can assure you that when America gets 50% of TikTok, it'll still be a company registered in the Cayman Islands. And good luck getting TikTok to pay its fair share of taxes. You think when it becomes 50% owned by the United States, Jeff Yass or Elon Musk or O'Leary from Shark Tank, all these people are talking about buying TikTok. Well, we better re-register half the company in Delaware and pay taxes on our profits. Sure, that's going to happen. But TikTok was back up. TikTok was back up. And what isn't back up is the CBP One app for migrants. Trump shut it down yesterday. The CPB One app was set up by the Biden administration so migrants seeking asylum could make appointments with immigration officials just using their phones. Nearly 1,500 migrants a day were able to set up appointments with immigration judges to make their case for asylum. Now that app has been shut down in violation of international law. Anybody seeking asylum by international law must get a hearing immediately. We are in violation of international law. The Associated Press this morning reporting that the Pope is calling Trump's plan for mass deportations a disgrace. But Trump doesn't need to listen to the Pope. Trump's an equally religious man as the Pope. In fact, the deeply religious Christian Donald Trump, during his swearing in yesterday, forgot to place his hand on the Bible. Trump blames staffers for not giving him one shaped like a pair of breasts. Why would he put his hand on the Bible if it's not shaped like a pair of breasts? After Trump's speech, Detroit Reverend Lorenzo Sewell closed out the ceremony with a prayer. And I'm not making this up, after he prayed and mangled Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, Detroit Reverend Lorenzo Sewell announced that he has his own cryptocurrency, because what would Jesus meme? Trump, the devout Christian that he is, signed an executive order last night firing the heads of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Court system. He's going to replace our immigration courts with Trump loyalists, which means it's going to be that much harder for migrants to seek asylum. Because he's a devout Christian, Trump signed an order eliminating Joe Biden's task force that was set up to reunite migrant families that had been separated by the Trump administration. Yes, why would you want the federal government to find the parents of the migrant children who we shipped off? Family values. This is who America voted for. I really didn't think this would happen. The Senate yesterday passed the Laken Riley Act just hours after Donald Trump was sworn in. The Laken Riley Act gives new powers to ICE, allowing them to detain and deport immigrants who have just been arrested. Not convicted, not charged, arrested. Katie Britt, the Republican senator, I believe she's from Alabama. She co-wrote the bill. And you need to get Democrats on board in the Senate to break the filibuster. 12 Democratic senators voted in favor of the Laken Riley Act yesterday. Get out your pencil. Get out your pen and pencil. The Democrats who voted for it include Senator Fetterman of Pennsylvania, Ruben Gallego of Arizona, Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, Mark Kelly of Arizona, John Ossoff of Arizona, Gary Peters of Michigan, Jackie Rosen of Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada, Jean Shaheen of New Hampshire, Elisa Slotkin of Michigan, Mark Warner of Virginia, and on Martin Luther King Day, Raphael Warnock of Georgia voted in favor of the Laken Riley Act. Raphael Warnock, who preaches from the same pulpit as Dr. King, voted yesterday in favor of the Laken Riley Act. Wow. Call the Senate switchboard and ask to speak to your representative. This is also your congressional switchboard. It's for the House and the Senate. Get your pencils out. 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. This bill now goes back down to the House, and I don't believe it comes back up to the Senate for another vote. I think it goes into, conference. Call Chuck Schumer's office. Call your Congress people. You do not give them an inch. Day one, the Democrats folded on Laken Riley. Day one. Get out your pens and pencils, write postcards, call the Senate switchboard, the Capitol switchboard, 202-224-3121, and tell your senator and your congressman or woman, if they're a Democrat, you will never, ever give money or vote for them ever again. On day one, they caved on the Laken Riley Act. Day one, call Chuck Schumer's office, call your Republican members of Congress, and it won't do any good. But on day one, they turned their back on due process. This now empowers ICE to detain and deport any immigrant who's just been arrested. Not charged, not convicted, just arrested. And it's going to deliver billions of dollars to Core Civic and the Geo Group, the two for-profit private prison companies. This is what it's all about. Rounding up undocumented Americans and putting them in for-profit detention centers for cheap labor. That's the ultimate joke. They're going to use undocumented migrants as cheap labor, free labor. It's okay if they're in detention centers, right? The loophole in the 13th Amendment. 202-224-3121. Call your Democratic senators and tell them, I am never donating a penny to you. I'm never voting for you again unless you figure out a way to kill the Laken Riley Act. Unbelievable. Last night, Trump signed an executive order putting an end to remote work for federal employees. There's Susie Wiles, White House Chief of Staff on the far right, keeping her distance, not because of COVID, but because of Trump's rancid Ozempic flatulence. In fact, during yesterday's inaugural luncheon inside Statuary Hall, nothing could have prepared our founding fathers for Donald Trump's shamelessly loose balloon knot. There's Melania signaling to her assistant, bring in the gas mask. These are actual pictures. Those are actual pictures from Statuary Hall of our founding fathers holding their noses, gagging from the stench of Donald Trump's Ozempic flatulence. Or maybe I altered those with Photoshop. Yesterday was Dr. Martin Luther King Day, honoring the life and legacy of the civil rights leader. But, wow, you know who's lucky? The citizens of Mississippi and Alabama. They not only get to celebrate Dr. King Day, but they also get to celebrate Robert E. Lee Day, which by state law must fall on the same day as Martin Luther King Day. What are the odds that Mississippi and Alabama give their citizens an opportunity to celebrate Martin Luther King Day and Robert E. Lee Day at the same exact time? Robert E. Lee, of course, the Confederate general who owned at least 200 slaves. You know, my great-great-great-great-grandfather, Jedediah Feldman, lived in Richmond, Virginia. And during the Civil War, he was the publisher of States' Rights Quarterly. And he personally took these glamour daguerreotypes of Robert E. Lee waiting for General Grant to arrive at the Appomattox Courthouse. These are actual photographs that my great-great-great-grandfather, Jedediah Feldman, these are glamour daguerreotypes of General Robert E. Lee, and nobody could rock a pair of red pumps and fishnets like Robert E. Lee, a gentleman, because Robert E. Lee was from the South, and he knew to stand when General Grant arrived to go over the terms of surrender. Here's my second favorite Lee Grant picture. Here's my top favorite Lee Grant picture of her in shampoo. This is the mop-up for January 21st, 2025. I'm David Feldman in New York City. Please get on the phone, write postcards to Democratic members of both the House and the Senate. They caved on day one and gave Trump the Laken Riley Act. It hasn't been signed into law. This is going to cost anywhere between $4 to $80 billion to pull this off. Maybe Chuck Schumer has a plan up his sleeve to somehow kill the Laken Riley Act, but get on the phone and tell your Democratic lawmaker not a penny more, not a vote more, unless you figure out a way to kill the Laken Riley Act. Please share this episode with your friends and hit the like button and subscribe to my newsletter. I'm on Blue Sky, so please subscribe there. Again, it's a new era, so I'm asking you to stay with me. You're going to have to work a little harder to find this show. Last night, Donald Trump signed an executive order revoking security clearance for the 51 career intelligence officials who signed a letter during the lead up to the 2020 presidential election calling the story about Hunter Biden's laptop Russian election interference. It was Russian election interference. It was. The New York Times reporting this morning that Elon Musk is being given an office in the West Wing. This was going to be a problem. I didn't think this was going to happen. Musk has been unable to get security clearance from the Pentagon, even though he brings them the satellites. He can't get security clearance from NASA, even though he gives them the satellites. The Israeli military can't give him security clearance. Why? Partly because of Elon Musk's past drug use, but mostly because of Elon Musk's constant contact with foreign adversaries like Vladimir Putin. So, it was generally assumed Musk would disappear from Trump's life once Trump moved into the White House, since Musk wouldn't be allowed inside there. Couldn't get security clearance. No worries. Last night, Trump signed an executive order giving his White House counsel the power to grant security clearance to whoever passes the White House counsel's test. So it won't be the FBI determining who's entitled to White House security. It will be the White House counsel. That clearance will be granted for 6 months. The White House counsel can give anybody clearance for 6 months. I would assume after 6 months, Musk will have moved on. Several federal watchdog groups, including a union representing federal workers, filed a lawsuit yesterday calling the newly established Department of Government Efficiency unconstitutional. According to the lawsuit, Trump is not allowed to create a new government department without it first being approved by Congress. The lawsuit also states DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, violates the Federal Advisory Committee Act because it's not bipartisan and lacks transparency. According to the Federal Advisory Committee Act, if Donald Trump says the Department of Government Efficiency is not a department, it's a federal advisory committee, well, it has to be bipartisan, and we need transparency. Trump and Musk they're not offering that. Last night, Donald Trump signed an executive order to begin the process of changing the 14th Amendment's provision that grants birthright citizenship to anyone born in the United States. Now, nobody is sure how he can do this, how he can get rid of birthright citizenship without a new constitutional amendment. But the executive order was signed yesterday, and it's an executive order to look into how to eliminate birthright citizenship. One of the beneficiaries of birthright citizenship is Vivek Ramaswamy. One of the only arguments for getting rid of birthright citizenship is Vivek Ramaswamy is the beneficiary. Both his parents were not United States citizens when they conceived this monstrosity here in America. Nevertheless, Vivek Ramaswamy says, despite being the beneficiary of birthright, he would like to see it eliminated. Vivek was supposed to co-chair the Department of Government Efficiency with Elon Musk, but Musk succeeded over the weekend in elbowing Ramaswamy out. So the Department of Government Efficiency just got more efficient. It got rid of one useless a-hole. Now, if it can get rid of the other useless a-hole from South Africa, then it's done its job. By the way, that Elon Musk is using his son as a prop. Wherever you go, he's giving rides to, that's an actual picture of Elon Musk's son. No, it's not. That's done. I block out the faces of the children, even though Elon Musk is using his kids. It's not fair to the kids, so I replaced him. Ramaswamy will leave Washington, D.C. with his tail between his legs, and he's going to run for Ohio governor in 2026. Ramaswamy has never held elective office for one simple reason. He's an a-hole. Nobody likes Vivek Ramaswamy. He's not going to win. Nobody likes him. Nobody. He's going to run for governor in Ohio, and he's going to lose. Here's Elon Musk speaking Sunday at Donald Trump's Make America Great Again victory rally. Keep in mind, Elon Musk grew up in apartheid-era South Africa, came to this country on a student visa, but decided not to be a student and went to work for Silicon Valley. He was in this country illegally. Elon Musk, before he somehow became a citizen, was an illegal alien. How about that? Anyway, people are having problems with this speech that he gave at the Make America Great Again victory rally. I don't know. Is this bad? What's going on? Oh, we can't hear it. What happened? Hang on. What happened? What's going on?
And I just want to say thank you.
Hang on.
For making it happen.
I don't know if you can hear this.
You.
Hang on. Let's try it again. Okay. This is not easy. If you're an idiot like me, it's not easy. It's actually quite easy if you have some brain cells left. Okay. Let's try this again. I hope you can hear this. This is a speech that Elon Musk, a product of South Africa apartheid, gave Sunday night. People seem to have a problem with it.
You know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important, some are not. But this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. goes out to you. It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured.
What did he do wrong? He was hailing a cab, as far as I could see. That's how we hail a cab in New York City. That is as Zig Heily as you can get. I mean, that's not like an accidental Zig Heil. That's not like I waved and my elbow locked and it accidentally looks like a Zig Heil. He did it twice. And listen to the grunting sound, the commitment he made when he gave the Zig Heil. Can you hear that? Let's just try that. Let me go full. He goes, ugh, like he really. That is. And he did it twice. I mean, it's not like we haven't been warned. It's not like they're hiding anything from us. I mean, watch. Twice. Hang on, let me just show you this. Twice. Well, we're not going to see it twice.
You know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important, some are not. But this one, this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you.
One more time.
My heart goes out to you. It is thanks to you that the future of civilization is assured.
When you talk about the future of civilization and you give a Zig Heil, we know what he's talking about. This is not a surprise. Elon Musk's friend, Giorgia Meloni, the Italian prime minister, attended the inauguration. Elon Musk has been giving money to Giorgia Meloni. He met with her. She is the leader of Italy, as well as the Brothers of Italy. That party has its historical roots dating all the way back to Mussolini. She is literally the first fascist to be in charge of Italy since World War II. Musk is a huge fan. There were other far-right fascists attending the inauguration. Fascists who not only love Donald Trump, but fascists who Elon Musk supports financially. The former Polish Prime Minister, Mateusz Morawiecki, tried to attend. This is true. He had trouble getting in to the inauguration. I'm not making this up. He showed his Wikipedia page to security guards, and for some reason, showing your Wikipedia page to Secret Service agents doesn't give you clearance, security clearance. But the Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, former Polish Prime Minister, his Law and Order Justice Party was voted out of office last year, although the president of Poland is a Law and Justice Party guy, so he's able to veto a lot of what the more liberal prime minister is trying to pass. The Law and Justice Party, anti-immigrant, pro-Putin, anti-abortion. So, of course, he would be invited. And stupid enough to think, I'll just show you my Wikipedia page. That's kind of like a security credential, right? Brazil's Supreme Court would not allow Jair Bolsonaro to attend yesterday's inauguration, even though Jair Bolsonaro, the former president of Brazil, was invited. Bolsonaro's son attended the inauguration instead. Bolsonaro is banned from running for office in Brazil until 2030 after that country's Supreme Court ruled that he misused his power as president by inciting an insurrection in January of 2023 while claiming voter fraud after losing to the current president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Not in attendance, but there in spirit, was Hungarian leader and authoritarian friend to the Trumps, Viktor Orban. He's been making trips down to Mar-a-Lago, and there's Don Jr. going off to Hungary, meeting with Viktor Orban. I'll get a list of all the authoritarians who showed up for the inauguration. What we're seeing right now is the Overton window shifting dramatically. What we're seeing is it's no longer right-wing, illiberal authoritarians. What we're seeing is a conversation out in the open about whether democracy is in fact a good idea. You will find in the private corridors of the MAGA movement legitimate conversations about the utility of democracy, and they are against democracy. This was the same exact conversation heard in America during the lead up to World War II. A lot of wealthy Americans, a lot of deeply religious and wealthy Americans began to conclude during the Great Depression that democracy was an outdated idea and that it was time for America to embrace the international fascist movements rising in Franco's Spain, Mussolini's Italy, and of course, Nazi Germany. It was all they said about efficiency. They loved the bankers on Wall Street, loved the efficiency of Italy, Spain, and Germany. They had their own departments of government efficiency. They catered to the industrialists. Government efficiency. The belief in the lead up to World War II was Franco, Mussolini, and Hitler were able to get things done efficiently because they weren't weighed down by politicians. And now, as I said, the Overton window is shifting back to the late 30s here in America. We're seeing sunlight. We're seeing just a little crack of sunlight on this conversation. It's getting to be more and more out into the open. And as we move closer to the midterms, you will hear more people on the right joking at first about how Congress and the courts are so burdensome. They're going to joke about it at first, making fun of government, how inefficient government is, how inefficient democracy is. We've been here before. What probably saved us was the Japanese attacking us on December 7th, 1941. We've been here before. The New York Times reports this morning Steve Bannon was not in attendance for Trump's inauguration. I'm fascinated by Steve Bannon. Bannon was Trump's ideological spirit guide during the first Trump administration. Bannon, a huge proponent of illiberal democracy. Bannon is the original gangster when it comes to America's lurch towards a liberal democracy. He worked closely with Jair Bolsonaro in Brazil and Viktor Orban in Hungary. He works closely with these people. When Jair Bolsonaro lost, he flew to Florida, met with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and he met with Steve Bannon. This neo-fascism is transnational. It's not just bubbling up here in the Republican Party. It has its roots in Europe. It's being funded by Putin. It's being funded by Viktor Orban. It's a worldwide transnational movement. Bannon was released from prison just days before the November 5th election. You might recall he served 4 months for contempt of Congress after he refused to answer a subpoena from the January 6th committee. His social media was eerily silent yesterday morning. I find Bannon interesting because I think he's honest. I don't think he hides what he's about. Now, Bannon is leader of the MAGA hardcore who disapprove of the tech billionaires groveling before Donald Trump right now. A lot of Republican governors yesterday were given overflow seats for the inauguration. They had to sit out in Emancipation Hall so that Trump could allow Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and the CEO of Microsoft to sit next to him while he was being inaugurated. I mean, this was a celebration of plutocracy. Even Republican governors were not allowed in. In an interview with ABC News on Sunday, Steve Bannon said the oligarchs surrendered to Trump after November 5th, and he warned MAGA shouldn't trust any of them. Bannon said Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg is a criminal and should be put on trial for conspiring to defeat Donald Trump in 2020, throttling back stories about Hunter Biden's laptop, for example. Bannon also recently had choice words for Elon Musk, calling him a South African racist. So much of the split in the Trump camp is over work visas for foreign tech workers. That's where the split is right now. Bannon says he takes exception to Elon Musk calling American workers retarded, quote unquote. And Musk said American workers are retarded, which is why he needs to bring in foreigners to do tech work, why he needs foreign work visas. Bannon is playing the populist card, and I find him really interesting. And he said something that blew my mind. He was talking to Jonathan Karl, who's an amazing writer. His books on Trump are phenomenal. And he's like the ersatz host of ABC Sunday Morning with David Brinkley or whatever they're calling it these days. Bannon told Jonathan Karl that Trump, this blew me away, that Trump shifted the paradigm and has ushered in 2 versions of populism. This is why I don't like Bannon, but I'm beginning to trust him. He said there are now, thanks to Trump, 2 versions of populism. He said on one side there is the liberal version of populism, the left-wing version of populism. That would be Bernie Sanders. And on the other side is the illiberal, authoritarian version of populism. He didn't say illiberal or authoritarian. He said right-wing populism. Trump's iteration of populism. He was saying what Bernie, what everyone on the left has been saying since Trump first came down the escalator. There is real populism, and then there's the crap Trump is selling. And Bannon is probably going to go to prison again for ripping off that charity. He's on trial in New York State. But I admire Steve Bannon for saying that, for spelling out the dialectic. Two versions of populism before the American voter. Unfortunately, I don't think the Democratic Party can rise to the challenge. I think the Republican Party is delivering right-wing faux populism in the spirit of, Evita Peron. We're not seeing left-wing populism, the Franklin Roosevelt populism we so desperately need. What we've got now is Trump's version of populism. It won. And that version of populism is where you see the angry mob's bloodlust satiated through malignant prosecution of immigrants, the torturing of non-Christians, the torturing of the LGBTQ community, the subjugation of women, as well as the weak and infirmed. That's what Trump is offering. And it is a form of populism. It's why Madison was so allergic. It's why James Madison was so allergic to the mob. This kind of populism that Trump is offering gives the mob everything they want except a livable wage and health care. Unless the Democrats counter this illiberal populism with real populism, we're in for a long winter. Unless the Democrats step up, and they just caved on Laken Riley, which is illiberal populism, torturing the migrants. That's what Laken Riley is. Populism becomes fascism. Right-wing populism turns into fascism. Well, it's not all bad news. Kimberly Gargoyle and Don Jr. were seen together the night before the inauguration. Don Jr.'s new girlfriend, Palm Beach socialite Bettina Anderson, was nowhere to be found yesterday at the inauguration. There are reports, and I went over this with you, there are reports that Don Sr. doesn't approve of Palm Beach socialite Bettina Anderson, who many believe is pro-Black Lives Matter and pro-mask. At the height of COVID, she told people to wear masks in Palm Beach, Florida. So it'll be interesting to see if Don Jr. stays with Palm Beach socialite Bettina Anderson. She should have a card that reads like, "Hi, here's my card," and it says Palm Beach socialite. That's what I do for a living. I'm a Palm Beach social. I was thinking I was getting the Inquisition a year ago from some people who want to know what I did for a living. What do you do for a living? It's kind of hard to explain this mess of my life. And I just said, I'm a public intellectual. And I think I'm going to get a card that reads, David Feldman, public intellectual. What do you do for a living? I'm a public intellectual. I'm anything but. This is the mop-up for, what is it, January 21st, 2025. I'm David Feldman in New York City. Thank you so much for finding me. And again, I need you. You're all I've got. Don't leave me. No, I won't change. I'm not going to change, but don't leave me. This is who I am. But don't leave me. It's getting harder right now. But I'm not changing. You have to change. That's the nature of this relationship, America. I'm not changing. I didn't do anything wrong. You did. So I'm standing my ground. Don't leave me. Don't leave me. You need to change. It's not an equal relationship, America. You really screwed up this time. You really did. And I'm going to remind you every day. Well, please share these episodes. I need an audience. We're sinking here. I mean, it's just amazing on Twitter. What, anyway, I don't want to whine and bitch. And I'm lucky for what I've got. So, where am I? No sweeping tariffs were announced on Trump's first day in office. It's one of the promises he didn't keep. But he did tell reporters inside the Oval Office late last night that he's planning to announce 25% tariffs on goods imported from Canada and Mexico sometime next month. During his inaugural address, Trump accused China of operating the Panama Canal, and Trump said he plans on taking it back. Jose Raul Molino, Panama's president, said Trump is wrong. Well, I looked into this. The fact is there is a Hong Kong company, and it's in charge of, they privatized 2 ports in the Panama Canal, and it's being run by a Hong Kong company. But there are other ways to go through the Panama Canal. You don't need to go through these Chinese companies. Last night, Trump revoked Biden's last-minute order that removed Cuba from America's terror watch list. Trump then signed an executive order designating drug cartels. Signed an executive order designating drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. As he was signing that order, he said, quote, Mexico is not going to like this, unquote. He has talked about going to war with the Mexican drug cartels to stop the flow of fentanyl and all the other stuff that somebody's son may or may not be using. You know, one of the ways to stop the flow is Medicare for all and free treatment on demand. Instead of building up the military and going to war with the drug cartels, you make it so everybody in this country can afford drug treatment, which they can't. It's all for profit. Thank you, Bain Capital. Thank you, Mitt Romney, for privatizing drug rehab. Listen, I don't know, Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, said over the weekend, quote, we're taking on the drug cartels. They want to go to war with the drug cartels. He said, quote, these are paramilitary organizations with billions at their disposal, with armored vehicles, heavy machine guns, that are fighting the Mexican army. He said they're not fighting the police, they're fighting the Mexican army to a standstill. He went on to say President Trump was clear on the campaign trail that we're going to take them on, unquote. Going to war with the Mexican drug cartels. Waltz, who just left Congress to serve as national security advisor for Donald Trump, is a former White House aide to Dick Cheney. According to reporting by Lee Fang over at The Intercept, we had Lee Fang on this show. According to reporting by Lee, you should read Lee Fang. It's one of the best. According to reporting by Lee Fang over at The Intercept, Waltz made at least $26 million by selling his defense contracting firm, which did business in Afghanistan. Li Feng writes that after our new national security advisor left the Bush White House, after, we go into Afghanistan, he set up a defense contracting firm and sold it for $26 million before he ran for Congress. That's who this guy is. And there's no need for Senate confirmation when it comes to National Security Advisor. He's just the National Security Advisor. He works privately with the president. No Senate confirmation hearings. Yesterday, the Senate confirmed Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. Rubio was the Republican senator from Florida. He stepped down after Trump nominated him. He's now our Secretary of State. The vote was 99-0. The only vote missing was J.D. Vance, who just left the Senate to become vice president. Every Democrat voted for Marco Rubio. Now, I said he was going to get confirmed easily. I didn't think it would be this, like that no Democrat has a problem with Marco Rubio, who voted against funding Ukraine. No problem with Marco Rubio, who doesn't think the Paris Climate Accords are worth getting back into. Not a single Democrat. I told you Rubio is probably the smartest and maybe the only cabinet official Trump nominated who is qualified. This is unbelievable. The Senate Armed Services Committee yesterday fast-tracked Pete Hegseth's nomination for Secretary of Defense. The hearings are over. We will not meet the woman who accused Hegseth of rape. They were shopping her around, and Susan Collins didn't want to meet her. Other Republican senators, female senators, did not want to meet the woman who accused Pete Hegseth of rape. We will not hear any testimony about Hegseth's alcoholism, his abuse and harassment of women, or the financial irregularities at the two nonprofits he ran. The hearings are over. The committee voted 14-13, moving the nomination to the Senate floor for a full vote. Well, 13 Democrats on the Senate Armed Services Committee voted against Hegseth, which is probably why they voted for Marco Rubio, to show that they're being even-handed. This is a disgrace. Pete Hegseth is a disgrace. Marco Rubio is not a disgrace. Hegseth is a disgrace. And general consensus is the votes are there. We could see Pete Hegseth confirmed this week. And Hegseth will be one of 19 former Fox News employees who are working inside Donald Trump's White House. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Hamas released 3 female Israeli hostages yesterday as the ceasefire continues. The 3 hostages left Gaza with, I'm not making this up, a gift bag from Hamas. A gift bag. Well, it is Oscar season. This is when everybody gets their gift bags. Gift bags? They got gift bags. Please fill out the comment card and let us know how the accommodations were. Jesus. Where am I? Israel released 90 Palestinian prisoners yesterday. No reported gift bags. Pam Bondi's nomination for Attorney General is expected to be out of committee later today we can expect a full vote in the Senate sometime this week. Email Bove, Trump's attorney in the hush money trial, is now serving as the Department of Justice's Deputy Attorney General. That job is eventually going to go to Trump's other attorney, Todd Blanche, who has been nominated for Deputy Attorney General but has to be approved by the Senate. Your guy just pardoned Enrique Tarrio and the head of the Oath Keepers, Elmer Stewart Rhodes. And you're going to serve in this administration. Unbelievable. Senator Lindsey Graham says he'll vote to confirm Kash Patel to head the FBI, even though Kash Patel has an enemies list and says he's going to get even with the people who prosecuted Donald Trump. Poor Lindsey, he keeps having the same dream where he's running through a field of heather with Pete Hegseth. Same dream, they stop and share some vanilla ice cream, and then it turns into a nightmare. Lindsey wakes up screaming in a pool of sweat as Pete Hegseth turns into Don Jr. Is that Don Jr.? That's not Don Jr. Is that Don Jr.? How are we doing on time? Snoop Dogg has come under attack from liberals for hosting a cryptocurrency inaugural ball in D.C. this week. A little disappointing. Hanging out with Trump. A new study shows Americans are drinking less wine and beer. Wait a week. Just wait one more week. I'm going to start drinking. And 40% of Americans now say alcohol isn't healthy. Wait a week. I'm David Feldman, reminding you to stay strong and protect the weak. This has been the mop-up for January 21st, 2025. Again, thank you for listening to me. Please hit the like button, share these episodes, and leave comments. I read all your comments. So please. Thank you to Mila in the chat room and Bob for keeping the conversation civil. If I made any mistakes today, let me know in the comments section. Subscribe to this channel, please. You have to, if you want to help me, share these episodes. I'm not part of some consortium, and it's tough out there for the consortiums. So imagine what it's like for a bottom feeder. All right, that's it. I will see everybody, I don't know when, but we'll meet again. Who knows when? Maybe tomorrow. There's so much going on. I don't know. But if it's not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow at 2:30 a.m. Eastern. We started a half hour late, but it was a busy day. I mean, this was a lot to get through, so I needed an extra half hour. Thank you, everybody.